Good morning and happy Tuesday from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. Here's my selective summary of the latest world news. We'll start from Reuters. US prosecutors say Britain's Prince Andrew is not cooperating in the probe over his contacts with the late financier Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in his prison cell in 2019. Voices from the streets, why protesters are marching the world over. North Korea says it will sever hotlines with South Korea, according to the state news agency KCNA. US President Donald Trump plans to sign legislation calling for sanctions on Chinese officials responsible for oppressing Uyghur Muslims, one of China's many ethnic minorities. A source familiar with the matter said on Monday without offering a time frame for the signing. Closing in on all sides, Cuba nears declaring coronavirus victory. The United States and Russia agree on June nuclear arms talks and want to invite China, according to US envoy or special envoy for arms control Marshal Billingsley. The World Health Organization says that the pandemic of coronavirus is far from over as daily cases hit record high. Men accused of helping ex-Nissan boss Carlos Ghosn flee Japan challenged U.S. extradition case. U.S. sanctions imposed on Iranian shipping network over proliferation take effect. Mexico reports nearly 3,000 new coronavirus cases, total infections at 120,102. Then to BBC World News. Lockdowns in Europe saved millions of lives. George Floyd murder suspect, the main suspect, the former Minneapolis Police Department officer Chauvin, his bail has been set at 1.25 million US dollars. US Democrats introduce sweeping police reform bill. Papua New Guinea sports star attacked by partner. Work starts to remove melted Notre Dame scaffolding. Court rejects Samsung Air arrest warrant request. Salvadorian war crime suspect on trial in Spain. United Arab Emirates' first Mars mission to launch within weeks. Pointer Sisters singer dies aged 69. The Swedish police, by the way, will reveal tomorrow on June the 10th, 2020, the result of their latest investigations into the still unsolved February 1986 murder of Social Democratic Prime Minister Mr. Olof Palme. Various individuals, Swedes and others, have been accused of it, including activists of the then racist apartheid South Africa or of the terrorist organization PKK, whose ultimate aim is the independence of Kurdistan in Western Asia. Why Nigerians are muting their mothers on WhatsApp. Virus in the Democratic Republic of the Congo captured on camera. CNN. France will ban police from using chokeholds. Over half of pregnant women in Britain or British hospitals with COVID-19 are minorities, according to a study. Iconic tourism attraction struggles as visitors stay away post-coronavirus. Black Lives Matter supporters gather across the globe. With no active COVID-19 cases, New Zealand is lifting almost all its coronavirus restrictions. UK protesters topple statue of 17th century slave trader Edward Colston in Bristol, Britain. Sweden defends not locking down over coronavirus but admits failing to protect the elderly. And then to the Philippine Star news headlines. Live updates: COVID-19 and extended quarantine in the Philippines. Me or MGCQ or GCQ in Metro Manila. Further review needed. Metro Manila has even chances of being downgraded to the most lenient modified general community quarantine or remaining under general community quarantine. Nearly 3,700 cases of violence against women, children recorded during the virus lockdown. Facebook taking down imposter accounts, face-to-face classes or lessons are still possible, according to the Education Department. Tuition hike looms as colleges struggle to survive. Philippine-made ventilators set for trials. PLDT, which is one of the main telecommunications operators in the Philippines, and Smart, another main telecommunications operator here in the Philippines, tie up with Grab for delivery of internet products. New routes opened for P2P buses. Subsequent rollout of BP2 beneficiaries to begin soon. The Malacanang Palace, meaning the Philippine Presidential Palace, to fake Facebook account makers find something better to do. Department of Justice official cursory reading of anti-terrorism bill shows dissent and protest not prohibited. Channel News Asia. Can Singapore rely less on foreign workers? It's not just about dollars and cents, say observers. Hong Kong seethes 1 year on, but protesters on the back foot. How is North Korea laundering money and getting away with it? COVID-19 pandemic drives broadest economic collapse in 150 years. Why are advanced countries experiencing the world's highest COVID-19 death rates? Sponsors of paid online election advertising in Singapore have to be disclosed in tightened campaigning rules. Quick look at Huawei's new MateBook 13, a worthy ultra-thin laptop option. Australian Broadcasting Corporation news. In the tropical Caribbean, pirates have returned to plague an island paradise. Life-threatening cold overnight on Victorian Mountain as search for a missing boy enters its second day. A 14-year-old autistic Australian boy is missing. And in Australia, in most of Australia, it's winter. And while it's not even nearly as cold as in most central and northern, let alone Eastern European countries, or in the northern regions of the United States and Canada, most of Canada, let alone then most of Russia, it still is clearly the coldest season in those regions to the south from the equator, except for its northernmost tropical regions. Going back to school isn't the same. The world's most cashless country has a warning for Australia, Sweden. Be careful what you wish for. The free childcare policy is ending in July 2020 in Australia. Iconic Sydney wedding venues reveal plan to flout coronavirus restrictions and reopen any numbers. The coronavirus pandemic is changing many things, and the length of the work week may be one. Childcare changes push families trying to make ends meet back to square one. Australian Prime Minister and Liberal Party leader Scott Morrison has started a recession experiment. On July the 21st, when the childcare sector loses its JobKeeper protection, now looms as the beginning of a live economic experiment, writes Andrew Probin. So Derek Chauvin is the former Minneapolis Police Department police officer who is now charged with the second-degree murder of George Floyd. an African American man who had tried to buy a pack of cigarettes with a fake $20 bill, US dollar bill, of course. And his three now former colleagues have been charged with aiding and abetting the murder. The Australian federal government has splashed a lot of cash to help people through COVID-19, and much of it has ended up in the bank. New Zealand Herald. Watch live. New Zealand still COVID-free. Weak positive test today made hearts flutter. A member of the main opposition party in New Zealand, the centre-right National Party, tells the Labour Party's leader and the current New Zealand Prime Minister, Ms. Jacinda Ardern, to stick to her knitting after her anger at warehouse job cuts. Transmission Gully, 167 breaches, unconsented activities and incidents. So Prime Minister Ardern is angry at the warehouse for cutting over 1,000 jobs. Claire Trevett, the Prime Minister's deserved jig for zeros. Police armed response teams to end. Alistair Campbell Ardern's perfect 10 for COVID-19 response. Kate Hawkesby Ardern's cringe fest press conference, government controlling our lives. Brazen juicy heist or robbery, 32 people charged, 90 vehicles recovered. Auckland's water crisis call for the government to act. Then to Africa news. CAF is to announce a new strategy on continental competitions, women's football and more update. Mozambique, sex workers struggle to survive. Ethiopia coronavirus, 2,070 cases. The Prime Minister defends Ethiopian flights, no lockdown. Malawi's president appoints new election boss. South Sudan, Machar and wife recover from COVID-19. Nigeria coronavirus, 12,486 cases. Abia governor infected, churches reopen. Ghana coronavirus, 9,638 cases. Government evacuation plans, churches return. Coronavirus in Africa, 189,559 cases, 5,189 deaths, 82,985 recoveries. Corruption trial of Lamin Diak opens. Schools reopen in South Africa. And 6 Nigerian soldiers killed in jihadist attack on army base. Euronews. Coal mine workers make up a 10 COVID-19 cases. Tobacco giants fume over claims they exploited the COVID-19 crisis. Brussels restaurants in Belgium and bars count the cost of a long lockdown. Could artificial intelligence and supercomputers unlock the pathogen puzzle? Scientists suggest rolling lockdowns to protect health and economies. Then to YLE news from Finland. How to prepare for life as a pensioner. The Finnish Centre Party proposes former cabinet minister Ms. Anu Vehviläinen as the speaker or chairperson of parliament. Survey, crisis worsened hunger and financial distress in Finland. The young leader of the Centre Party, Ms. Katri Kulmuni, springs higher retirement age surprise. She announced last Friday her decision to resign as the Finnish finance minister due to a controversial taxpayer-funded communications training program, which included training for her duties as the Centre Party's chairperson. She's going to be replaced by former Finnish Prime Minister and former Centre Party leader and the current outgoing Speaker of the Finnish Parliament, Mr. Matti Vanhanen. Coronavirus latest, passengers worry about congested trains, Finnair extends furloughs. Then to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation's news. Ontario, which is Canada's most populous province, doubling limit on gatherings, more businesses to reopen in the next stage of COVID-19 recovery plan. The Canadian federal government loosens COVID-19 border restrictions to allow some families to reunite. The Northwestern Territories Premier and Member of Parliament, meaning that territory is represented in the Canadian House of Commons, which is the Canadian Federal Parliament's lower house, say the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or Canada's federal police force, which also is the provincial police force in 6 out of 10 provinces, need to rebuild relationship with public. Cyclone Chopper, meaning helicopter crash, investigation focuses on aircraft system and human factors. Oil and gas spending estimates adjusted lower as uncertainties persist. UCP proposal to use part of victims' fund for policing and prosecution is a conflict, according to critics. 3 RCMP officers criminally charged over Prince George takedown in 2016. Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders, who incidentally is an African Canadian, is stepping down. New mothers told to work to get employment insurance parental benefits after jobs lost to COVID-19. Pandemic measures expose work from home inequality, says Statistics Canada. Many Canadians used virtual medical care during COVID-19, a poll suggests. USA Today changed the world. Houston honors the man behind the social justice. Trump mocks former Republican U.S. presidential candidate and current U.S. Senator Mitt Romney for Black Lives Matter march. The prospective Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden comes out against defund the police. Bonnie Pointer of Pointer Sisters dead at 69. An aged African American Baptist pastor, civil rights activist, and Democratic politician Jesse Jackson says that the United States is pulling back the scab and confronting racism. The Washington Post. Bail set for Derek Chauvin as Democrats unveil police reform bill. What video and other records show about the clearing of protesters outside the White House. Visitors in Houston pay respects to Floyd, say his death touched the world. How the mayor of Washington, District of Columbia, went from a bland bureaucrat to a fresh voice of the resistance. Mayor Muriel E. Bowser drew national attention when she had the city paint Black Lives Matter on the street leading to the White House. At home, however, she has faced criticism for increasing funding for police and for policies that critics say fuel gentrification. Mexico News Daily. The governor of Jalisco State believes police intended to kill Guadalajara protesters. Anti-corruption efforts slipping in Mexico, according to an international index. 10 people killed in attack on Guanajuato Rehab Center. Former Tijuana police official arrested for torture. Ex-chief sought. Then to the Rio Times news from Brazil. Driving in the dark on COVID-19 as contradictory data deepens confusion. Jair Bolsonaro could get 40 years for genocide, opines or states his opinion the Supreme Court Justice Gilmar Mendes. Jair Bolsonaro has served since January 2019, so now for 1.5 years as Brazil's, in recent memory, most right-wing and populist president. According to some critics, even a far-right president. He has numerous times questioned the official data for deaths, even as the deaths and new cases keep spiking in Brazil. COVID-19, the second wave is already here. Analysis. Brazil confirms 1,382 deaths on Sunday, then reduces number to 500 without explanation. Puerto Rico's nuclear option bringing a bold gambit to the table. 15th century Mayan artwork discovered inside house walls during renovations. 4 police officers are found murdered in a pickup truck after going missing in Mexican president's home, was it home state? Fossil of 2 million old frog found in Argentina. Venezuela 0.6 May, 295.9% inflation in the first 5 months of 2020, according to its central bank. Argentina's stock exchange surges as hopes build debt deal is close. And that was okay. Still some coronavirus updates in the world. According to the worldometers.info website, have been recorded 7,193,476 cases, new cases 3,608, and a total of 408,615 deaths, new deaths 375. The United States leads the world with 2,026,493 cases and 113,055 deaths. In terms of the number of cases, the other leading 9 countries are Brazil with over 710,000 cases, Russia with over 476,000 cases, Spain with over 288,000 cases, Britain with over 287,000 cases, India with over 265,000 cases, Italy with over 235,000 cases, Peru with over 199,000 cases, Germany with over 186,000 cases, and Iran with over 173,000 cases. Wish you a blessed and safe remainder of this week.